So let's talk about kind of a breakdown of the important components. Two-factor authentication or multi-factor, not just two, right? Using biometrics, facial recognition, fingerprints. We've seen some counties utilizing key cards for getting into the building as something they have in conjunction with a passcode or something, or biometrics. Then you got kind of the best of both worlds. And by the way, then you didn't have to use a password, right?
If you have two factors that aren't password based, then
we
you're
keep
getting
running
closer
into
to passwordless.
We keep running into folks who are so against passwords nowadays. I had the privilege of giving a talk in Cal Nina recently, and one of the IT folks came up to me after the talk and said, you know, the sheriff just said everybody only has to use 8 characters. And it's just very frustrating in this day and time to be limited in those aspects. And by removing those tools from the IT team, they're making themselves more vulnerable. So we need to address that. Well, maybe we can do it so that they don't have any passwords to remember, right? That is the kind of the other extreme, because they're using multi-factor and they're doing it in a better way. So there are ways to mitigate that. And then as we move into end detection and response, I did skip over monitoring for a reason, because when we talk about detection and response, we're really talking about how quickly can we find the bad guys. Needs to be part of the plan and part of the methodology. And that really kind of resides on, and defense in depth is really important that we have good segmentation, right? We must cut up the different pieces. And that's not really what Zero Trust says. So it's interesting when we get into that piece. Encryption in all things, right? It's pervasive across all nowadays.
As much as you can.
Yeah, anywhere you can, as much as time as you can. Data loss prevention. And this really speaks to what do we know is important? Whether you're using a Zero Trust or a layered approach or a defense in depth strategy or all three, we want to make sure that we're including what's most important. We're protecting the things that matter most in the most protected way. And then talking about VPNs as both a good and bad tool, right? Because VPNs can do exactly what they're meant to do, create a virtual private network from one network to another. You're connecting those two networks. So we have to really architect it appropriately.